What's good in here, y'all? It's your man Nico Bain with the Steam, and I'm coming at y'all with the fifth episode of my Black Panther fan fiction series. So, in this episode, we're going to get into it's basically going to get inside of the mind of Ndala and find out what's really going on up here. So, in the first thing I want to say is thank y'all for rocking with me. If you guys haven't already, please like, share, subscribe, and help with the project. Um, I'm trying to get to 100 followers. Well, I was trying to get to 100 followers by the new this year. Or previous year. It's 2023 now. And I would like to say Happy New Year. Thank you for sticking with me. And I hope to um, reach new heights this year. My main goal is to close to reach close to at least I'd say 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year, 2023. But like I said, this is the fifth episode for my Black Panther fan fiction series, and the first thing we're going to talk about is his religious, Indala's religious views. He is a Christian. He believes in Christ and is a firm believer in him. Um, this comes to a head when he becomes king. It does sound weird that Wakanda has a Christian leader because they've never been colonized, so they're not influenced by other cultures. But if you can imagine having someone who is supposed to be have their roots in Wakanda, and they grew up in another country, but they are learning the culture to the point where they have someone that is acknowledging the presence of another deity, all the while they're worshiping another deity in secret, and that's what my character does. And so when Bast approaches him, he doesn't really see his ancestors at first in the ancestral plane. After he ingests the heart-shaped herb, he doesn't see them at first. Who he meets is Bast in the ancestral plane, and Bast tells him that if you're going to be king, you're going to worship me. And before Indala can even say anything, guess who shows up? Jesus Christ. And Jesus says, "Look here, he might be of Wakandan origin, but for his entire life, his heart, his mind, and his soul was given to me. And he's going to Wakanda, but he's not going to worship you. Back off." And that's how T'Challa, not T'Challa, but Indala is given the powers of the heart shaped herb. But Bass recognizes that the Jesus Christ, who he worships, was also, get this, goes back to, I don't want to say I tie this into the Bible stories, but I kind of did. Um, Bass recognizes that Jesus Christ is the same God, deity of Christianity that disrupted Egypt all those years ago during Pharisees' time. And um, when she does that, I don't want to say she gets kind of scared, but she gets kind of worried because if he's coming with that type of backup, who is basically disrupted everything about Egypt and all of its glory back in the so-called glory days when the pharaohs and stuff like that were in power. She recognizes that she's gonna have to either compromise or just let it be, and she kind of does both. So, and Dala does later on meet other African deities. I'll get to that story, but it's pretty deep. But so the second that was the second and first one that I hit on. But the third one I'm going to hit on is Indala does have powers. I didn't say that when I first mentioned my character in the first four episodes, but he does have powers. And he's not an inhuman. He's just, I want to say he's a mutant, but he was, I'll just say this. He is somehow half mutant, half inhuman. He's a bit of both. but his powers come naturally over time. So I guess you can say he is a mutant. Um, the way that he uses his powers, he uses them very slimly. I mean, not really slimly, but very rarely he uses his powers. He knows how to gather information naturally, and he unlocks certain parts of his mind to where he's able to process information down to the very inkling, and able to, of course, read between the lines and stuff like that. The way they became a good tactician was paying attention to detail intricately and learning the process of elimination and stuff like that. Um, the three abilities that he has is telekinesis, teleportation, and telepathy. And so he uses those to his advantage sometimes, but he trained himself throughout the years when he was at Shield to not rely on those powers, to rely on his natural instincts that he would have if he did not have those powers. And he trained his body throughout his adolescent years and his young adult years to be able to use his natural instincts and later on his natural powers given to him by Bast, and to basically the heightened senses that he has, he uses those, and instead of using his teleportation, his telepathy, his telekinesis, he uses the powers, but like I said, he uses them very rarely. As a matter of fact, I will read to you what I came up with and how everything pieces together when he actually does use his powers. Because I do have a slight little adventure in that. Let's see here. All right. Here we go. This one is called Indala begins to use his powers more frequently. So after battling Shuri for the final test that was given by Bast herself, and I do have a story about that. I'm going to get onto that. Let me see. I'm going to skip over some stuff. Oh shoot. Huh. I forgot that my character that I have is with the X-Men. So he does go with the X-Men at one point. Um, well, I guess I can get into that. My character Indala does meet the X-Men. And even though I said this is connected to the MCU, I think ahead of things, and yeah, I do believe that my character would be a good fit in the with the X-Men. The way that he trains his mind and his powers is by way of going to the X Mansion and training with the X Men. He is mentored by, um, I don't want to say Professor X, but he is one of the prominent mutants in the X Men. So I guess yes, he does get mentored by Professor Xavier for about, I'd say, before the snap. He is trained by Professor X for at least, I think, 7 months. So he bounces back and forth using his teleportation to Wakanda and New York to train himself and try to solidify not using his powers as much, but having a firm control over them. Because at one point he did not have control over them, and that was in his pubescent years. And so when my character decides to uh, when my character actually has to take up the mantle of Black Panther and become a leader of Wakanda, he tells T'Challa and Okoye that he has powers. Of course, before T'Challa snapped away, um, when he uses his powers, he uses them in a way that makes it to where he is basically using them as a last resort. And so, let's say that he would get in the fight and he sometimes let loose. He does sometimes let loose. Uh, the time that he actually uses his powers is when he's building, um, I don't want to say structures, or for example, he does make safe houses for Wakanda. In certain, actually, he does make safe houses throughout Wakanda for um, the Hattusaraze or the War Dogs for when they send out missions. If he knows what they need, he would send them. He would teleport to that location, and he would build the structure that they needed for them to basically have housing and stuff like that. So whenever they needed someone to take care of certain things, he would be the one to step up and do those type of things. Um, the third one I'm gonna hit on is Indala uses his time in Wakanda to further his mind, to control his abilities, and not rely on them at all times. I did get on that a little bit. Um, hmm. The fourth one I'm going to get into, and it might be the last one, is Ndala learns his true lineage via M'Baku and T'Challa. So, and of course, this is before the snapping of Thanos. Um, let's see here. I'm going to say this. When Ndala finds out where his parents are from, which is, of course, the Border tribe and the Jabari tribe, Ndala figures out that he has his basically his first ancestor was Mosi, and from there he had different people throughout that not in Jadaka, but Mosi was the very first Black Panther. Throughout the lineage, he had different people from different tribes come, and when his parents came along, like I said, they were from the Border tribe and Jabari tribe. So when they came to, he found out that when the Border tribe met with the Jabari tribe, I guess when the because I do have this meeting that they come through every I'd say 10 years. They come together to see if they could come to a common ground to where they could invite the Jabari tribe back. That's how Indala's parents met, and from there they had to sneak to try to find each other. So if you can imagine a Jabari, not really Jabari, but a border tribesman having to fly or use any Wakandan's very technologically advanced vehicles to travel to the Jabari Mountains and basically get down with whoever he's in love with. So um, from that point on, we have a situation to where um, Indala, in his conception, he is born in the States, and from there he learns how to. Well, he doesn't really learn. He grows up in New York. He does grow up in New York, Harlem, New York, to be exact, and from there he grows up to become a person who believes in Christ. He learns that there is a place where he's from that he will have to eventually find out where his roots are from. And like I said, when he gets to Wakanda, he learns that he is a part of the royal family, but from like a ancient. I don't want to say ancient strain, but he is part of the royal family. And so, um, if you guys have any questions, I know this is. I don't want to say it's convoluted, but like I said, I'm piecing together everything, and I will say this: Marvel, if you're listening, this character does not work unless you have T'Challa, because T'Challa is a prominent role that needs to be refilled, and T'Challa is my character's mentor. So, like I said, I'll be coming at y'all with another one, and please like, share, subscribe, and if you guys have questions, you guys can hit me up. Love y'all, and I'll see you on the next one.